Okay, welcome Daniel.
Good morning from Vancouver, and thanks for inviting me, Samir. Good to see you again.
Hey, good to see you, and thanks for accepting the invite. As you know, this is Tech Talk with Samir Shurur, and we are trying to unplug Industry 4.0. So, thanks for being on board. And as we were discussing on the background, the idea of this podcast is to propagate and build the community around the technology, emerging technologies for EPC, for owner operators, and trying to give them the an idea around how technologies are changing, and how we as a community can adopt to these and build solutions for our day-to-day problems.
Thanks for inviting me because I'm looking forward for the talk.
Yeah. Okay. So before we move on, let's just wanted to bring all my audience around a few things so that we have a understanding of what we are going to do for next 15-20 minutes, and what is the takeaway from this conversation. So this is a series under expert speak, and Daniel, of course, he is an expert and he is a veteran of 25 years, and he has so much wealth of knowledge and is trying to build solutions. We'll go in little detail about his journey, his vision about a solution to problems. So this is the first of this series, which we will interact with experts, and then we will let's see why we have invited Daniel. Okay, so three quick points. Daniel has more than 25 years of experience doing hands-on jobs at site, managing capital planning for large capital projects, doing project control. Lot of wealth of information on engineering. And the last more than 6 years, I think he can add more to this journey. He has built a global company which is focused on artificial intelligence and solutions that artificial intelligence can build. Can bring to the day-to-day life of engineers, owner operators. I think these two badges are good enough to have him on the show and understand his vision towards this whole sector and the artificial intelligence, which is bugging every engineer today. But more importantly is the he is also building, as I said, building global company, so in the emerging technology space. So the idea is to understand his journey, understand the talent pool he sees in countries like Philippines, countries like India, and how he sees that these talents can solve the bigger problems of rest of the world. So I think this is the amalgamation of thoughts behind having Daniel. Anything you want to add, Daniel?
No, great summary. Thanks. Intelligent project solution, which we're building here based in Vancouver, Canada. Where globally has two other offices, one, as you mentioned, one's in India, one's in Philippines. And the company is slightly more than 5 years old now. And we keep expanding with the, riding the trend of digital transformation in the industry, process industry, oil and gas, chemicals, and now expanding to powers, pharmaceuticals, and
Oh,
machinery manufacturing, actually, in reality.
wow.
So yeah, we have food springs on all the continent now, and it's been an exciting journey for me and the company IPS together. So I think certainly the industry 4.0, I think equipped with new technology like AI, is changing the industry. But I think we're just probably first percent of the journey.
Yeah,
There's a long way to go.
true,
Yeah.
true, true.
Mm.
Yeah, great. We'll dwell into the more details. We'll nitpick your brains and your solutions what you are really trying to put in. So the three four things which I would like our audience to take out when they really exit this. They are reading, they are reviewing this podcast is what is happening in the technology space and how does the experts like you are seeing the change in the technology space. That's the first bullet. Second is there is a lot of AI hype. I hope you agree, Daniel. Let's also attach a real use case which you have already solved or you are planning to solve, so that the audience gets take away those 3 4 points that they can go back to their desks and start thinking about. And third is specific use cases which technology managers can solve, maybe two minimum, one or two, so that I mean, let's not restrict this to the solutions you have built. I want your imaginations to come forward and share some insights on what is possible for EPC sector as a sector. Finally, I hope you will cover the lessons learned, because generally when as an EPC engineer, technology manager starts implementing those use cases, we are also trying to internally sell these emerging technologies to our own problems or the users who are facing the problems. I want them to have a real, knowledge of the lessons learned, the things they need to take care. So I think these
Right.
3 4 use cases I would like to, my audience and our audience to take care. Make
All
sense?
right,
You
great.
agree?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So I can start picking up some from the trend of technology. I think I would call it, this is the second big wave of AI hype, as you
Yeah,
use the word.
correct.
Obviously, 6 years ago when I started company, the reason I started company is because of the first wave, when the AI was quite hated with many application in the market. I'm looking at application in a different market, say, okay, why they cannot be used in the engineering construction of our process industry. So that's how I started the company. Um, Now with ChatGPT and all the different large language model last year, I think this is actually a quite significant change for two reasons. One is with the large language model, for sure, the application itself get to the next level. Lots of things we have seen through our development, I don't believe can be done. Actually, now you're looking at that, there is a huge potential can be done, especially related to the generative AI side.
Okay.
The second thing actually is the ChatGPT get to the much broader user hand, right? Before the ChatGPT, people use different applications, knowing there are AI components in there. Now anyone, almost anyone, can just get on in the ChatGPT and understand, oh, they are talking with AI. So the acceptance and understanding the power of the AI is very different, right?
Yep.
From there is something there I might be able to use to today, anyone can get into that interface to work, talk, and see a much great result. So the expectation actually went up in reality. So I think that's where you see the trend is happening from a technology perspective. My personal will is ChatGPT or actually large language model or generative AI is coming,
Mm-hmm.
and this time will take a much bigger impact. I think we're still in a very early stage to see what it can be done. But even within our own organization with our IPS solution, we starting implement and integrate some of those large language models already, and we see
Okay.
significant changes from
Okay.
output. That's just actually to improving our current application. But when we're looking at that,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things you talk about, what the future could open the opportunity for this. Personally, I think within 5 to 10 years, we will see the generative design in engineering world.
Okay.
Lots of things can be done. Um, uh, we are a company at this point, our AI application and solution are a lot
Mm-hmm.
focusing on two things.
Okay.
Data, data. First thing is data. How we can extracting data and restructuring data. Because data is the meat and the water of engineering and management.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Right?
true.
Right. So I always tell my clients, say, okay, our world is like we are building lots of ice blocks. You know,
True.
when we're doing design, we're actually building blocks. We actually
Absolutely.
purposely building blocks, and we're building those ice blocks, ice cubes, and we stick them together into a facility. The way in the future we need to look at things, engineer design or information as water. So when you get the water, what happens is it flows,
Yeah.
right? You melt all this isolated silo, information silo into water. You know, as a Chinese, we always take water as the metaphor of the life. So when you get the water, it flows. It flows to whichever way it wants to,
Yeah,
and
absolutely, absolutely.
actually remove all the blocks. And in our whether it's being engineering design, procurement, construction, it's a
True, true.
flow, how we actually take that as a flow. So I think that's the one of the critical things we do. We focus on the data. So what do we do today? We build AI engines to be able to extracting data from engineering drawings and documents. That's
Mm-hmm.
first thing. The second thing is looking at the structure, the data structure, right? The challenge of this industry is variations, right? Right?
Absolutely. I would
Every
just
company,
if you
yeah,
can
yeah, go
fill
ahead.
in there,
Yeah,
the EPC, one of the I mean challenges of EPC, as you rightly said, variations. I mean,
yeah.
there is we EPC are they are always they are a service company, they are a contracting company. They have to move from
Mm,
one client to the other client, and the variations
mm,
are bound to happen. So, how do you
mhm.
suggest these variations are handled, Daniel?
So there are two aspects we see. First of all, industry still needs to drive a bit on the standardization.
Absolutely.
I think we have tried 100 years and we failed 100 years. We have client, not talking about EPC, you dealing with multiple clients. We have client within the same organization, we see thousands of standards, thousands
Absolutely.
of,
And that's
yeah,
the one of the
once
biggest pain area. You rightly said.
that's,
Even within
yeah,
the organization,
yeah.
I mean, lot of unstructured or ungoverned way of doing. Go ahead.
That's exactly. So we see those variations. So I think that's the one thing we still need to drive standardization. I think now with the digital transformation, digitalization work, actually industry starts seeing more and more organization. You know, the currently looking at when they start building more asset structure, you see
Hmm.
the CIFA structure now is getting more and more popular in the most operation company. There's the way people say, okay, there is a value now. It's more and more important value to having standardization. I will see a CIFA that's now taking a huge impact on many companies now from even the powers or other industry. That's one thing. The second thing is the difference current the AI model versus the traditional software is looking at learning of the variations. Think about the ChatGPT, the large language model. The only and the most critical change for this is to be able to understand variations. People
Hmm.
are typing in different ways in their language, in their all the variations talking about the same content, same meaning. The large language models be able to understand the variations and unify in a way to understand the content into the same content level. That's the change for the current level of AI. I think
Yeah.
people did not really realize that is actually one of the most important step the current technology has changed. So those two
So
things together. Yeah.
if I just pick your statement there and correct me if I'm wrong. What you are saying is why you think chat gpt or let's not talk about
Large
chat
language
gpt,
model. Yeah.
large language models are
Yeah.
powerful is because we have variations in our sector, and
Mm.
all these variations are ultimately the design, the drawing, the text that we generate during our
Right.
day to day work. And these
Right.
large language models, when they are capable enough to understand these variations because of the contexting around that
That's exactly it.
large
Yeah.
language model, that can lead to a more water like a scenario where the
That's
information
right.
is flowing in a direction rather than it is becoming a cubes. So am I my
That's
understanding is correct what is just said?
that's exactly because I gave example, right? So when we're looking at the data extraction from, let's say, attribute of equipment, right?
Hmm.
The way the different company, different manufacturers, the way they do it is drastically different,
Yeah.
right? But if we're looking at how that variation can go to a large language model, then large language model actually can interpret it
Hmm.
regardless that the information appear on the drawings and document and interpret it quite in much higher accuracy than the old the model we have seen to say, okay, this is what that meant. So be able
Okay.
to link. For sure, internally we do build a structured again, a kind of standard. We're actually quite build our internal data structure aligned to the CFARS. So we
Okay.
have a standard CFARS attributes and should be trying to align to this. I think over time, obviously, large language needs more data. Over time, we can see absolutely there is a path to go into the model be able to interpret design parameters like human, right? Human
Yeah.
wouldn't get
Yeah. Yeah.
100%,
Yeah.
but I actually see over time, machine will do much better than human.
Okay.
Think about a senior process engineer, instrument engineer, how many variations he can see in the life,
Oh man.
right?
You are.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Compare with computer, that's probably a 1 day job for computer to learn this.
So, uh,
Takes 30 years for
a
an
piping
experienced engineer.
engineer in a
Mm,
1.5 year
mm,
cycle of a project
mm,
or a detail
mm,
engineering, he
mm,
might
mm,
see. I mean, if let's say if he's working for 10 years, he might see
mm,
a
mm,
hundred
mm.
pipeline with different
Right.
specs, and
Yeah.
he might end up in 10 years looking at thousands of repetition. I mean millions of repetitions
Right.
of same specs. I don't think
Right.
whether anybody
That's
is
exactly.
capable enough
Yeah.
to keep that
Right.
thing going. Yeah, I agree.
Right. Yeah. So that's the power of the new technology. That's where we see how things should do. So back to the question, yes, today we built two streams. We have one's data extraction, the second is data relationship. Data relationship, obvious for sure. One is from a kind of text layer. You're looking at, okay, well, the attributes, all that information. The second thing, we focusing also the graphic relationship, right? One of the very signature product we have is to turn the PDF PID into intelligent PID. That require not just understand what it on it, and also understand relationship, what's the piping, what's the wall, what's the equipment, how they relate to each other.
No, I would
Relationship.
like to, stop you there and
Mm,
I understand a bit more here. So, help us understand, Daniel, when you extract PDF into, a model. So one of the questions that comes is number of, the use cases, the ROI part.
mm,
So, if for
right.
an owner operator, let's say, two things for it. One is the owner operator who has a large, data which
Mm,
large number of PDFs that needs to be converted, and the
right.
other part is the EPC companies who have relatively lesser number of PDFs that need to be converted.
Right.
How do you address this as a benefit? Second, I would say technology wise, how this is going to benefit an EPC user if we adopt AI model like yours
I think
in
there
a
are
in
two
a long
things.
term in a long
Right,
term view.
right. Yeah. So I think there are two things how we benefit for industry. At the end of the day, it's only one thing, productivity, nothing else in
Yeah,
reality, right?
true,
Right.
true.
So how many hours we save? That's one thing, right? So you're looking at
No,
from
one more
an
thing I'll add. How many
uh,
hours we save,
mm,
and how fast I get the data to procure
mm,
my items. So today, if
yes,
I rely on manually, I'm spending more time to get the BOQs if I will,
right.
to spend it, send it into market, get the right quotation.
Right, right. So I think that's absolutely correct. So when we're looking at technology, looking at expanded value, right? In reality, this technology we do to extract to convert PDF into intelligent drawing. Now at the beginning we're looking at convert the drawing. Now actually there are multiple in fact happens. So
Hmm.
you can do MTOs. You also actually can in this case looking at the asset management.
Oh,
Actually, we actually using the technology to work with owner option company to generate master asset register to identify asset on the drawing, whether it's being tagged or not tagged,
wow.
because lots of things are not tagged in reality on the drawing, especially
Yeah,
historical ones. right?
Historical
So
ones. Yeah, yeah, I agree.
so it's the same application, but a same solution, AI solution, but different application, different use cases right now. We're
Okay.
actually also using that information technology to help machinery manufacturing companies to actually identify parts and other information they actually needs to supply again to the operation company. So the use case actually start really expanding with the same technology. So looking at that, I think that's where we see the trend from that's our roadmap for the future of the AI engineer. That's
No, I
starting
think
from
you touched a very interesting point. Sorry if
yeah.
I'm stopping
Go
in
ahead.
between.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm,
so when I asked you a long-term benefit, I think you nailed it right. So today I might. So if I interpret again for the benefit
mm,
of people like us, layman people like us. So what I just understood is today I might have a higher capital cost when I am adopting these technologies, but if I have a higher cost relatively,
mm.
but
Right.
when I look at into a overall data driven EPC execution, I might have a chance to share the same data drawing or the intelligent model to my fabricator, my manufacturer, and probably I am able to get the same data to my construction system in a real time basis or near real
That's
time
exactly.
basis, so
Yeah.
that as an EPC company or as an owner operator I can see the
Right.
same data getting same information flowing like a water, probably the
That's
metaphor
that's that's
okay.
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly. So you're looking at the way we looking at the longer term of the industry. We see three phases. The
Hmm.
first phase actually is what we have done in the past. We call it digitalization, basic data extraction, data structuring. The second thing we really focusing right now is we call it digital work process. Exactly what you said. This data is flowing into different components of operation. We have seen right now, we build an application called iWorkflow. Basically, is taking the data from different drawings document and then going into a document management system, procurement system, engineer system, construction system, asset management system, right? So it's the same data,
Yeah.
depending on where that data goes to. And we also see a use case. We work with Mitsubishi. We found a very interesting use case
Okay.
where our manufacturers trying to find information from them to actually supply to EPC and the owner operation companies. The other side of the flip, actually, the coins, actually, we have an operation company come to us, say, okay, we need this information from those manufacturers.
Yeah.
End to end, they are looking at exactly same information. Now we actually even including that into logistic and procurement system. They need exactly same information. They want to understand what instrument, what part, what asset, when it's being bought, what is exactly same
Exactly same.
information.
I can
Yeah,
vouch for
yeah,
it with my so
yeah,
many years of experience. I think I
yeah,
can
yeah,
definitely vouch for it.
yeah.
What we are saying.
Right. So, but you think about on this data supply chain, I call it data supply. How many people are recreating the same information?
Yeah.
Hundreds of people.
Hundreds of people, maybe thousands.
Yeah.
Imagine
Yeah. Yeah.
imagine a scenario, Daniel, where one manufacturer is doing 10 projects for a 10 EPC contractor or a 10 owner operator. The
Right.
manufacturer is dealing with similar kind of data. I am not calling it a
Right.
same data, but similar kind of data without
Right.
any basic reference to start with. So he's getting same data, revising the same data. Maybe there can be a challenge where you can modify this.
Right. Right. So I
Yes,
think
yes.
that's what we see as a second major step on that. Then I think the last future, really future, is actually looking at the generative. Basically, all this work can be generated by machine itself instead of people. You will see this application already happening in the legal system, contract being generated. For us, actually, we're looking at, okay, today we digitalize PID, we understand the data structure. With the language model, we actually do see now, since last year technology change, we do see a possibility of generate design directly
Wow.
because more we
Hmm.
get data coming from, you know, that's how the human does, right?
Right.
A junior process engineer learn how things are relationship and how they build that. I think the machine now has the power to really learn and learn better in the scope of that. I think that's really the future. So we see, the three steps. You have to have the data. Actually, if you don't have a data, nothing you can talk about. Second thing, you have to have a structured data. You have to unify data through the modeling, other things to be find relationship. Then, with that information, you get rid of the daily operation tasks, which are very manual. I call them non-value added tasks. Basically, you're moving, this data from this spreadsheet to other spreadsheet to other spreadsheet. There's no value in there, right?
Yeah.
Then lastly, you can see actually with machine to be able to learn more and more, to be able to generate, to really to bring that intelligence to the industry. That's how I see
Wow.
at the end of
No, no,
this
I
this
completely
journey.
agree. I think
Yeah,
your
yeah,
vision, what it seems to be a perfect in a sense,
right,
and I think that's when the metaphor what you have put in is where everybody is working in the in the industry. So
right,
great to hear vision. Now tell me, I mean, we have I mean, let's another 5 6 minutes to
right.
brief it up
To talk
on
about the
our.
challenge.
Yeah, let's talk about the challenge so that
Right.
we can
Yeah,
I mean, I can see a lot of conversation we can go from here. So I want to
yeah.
make it a smaller chunk so that the user gets
Sure.
to see this thing. So let's make it another 6 minutes. We will talk about how what are the challenges that a technology manager can solve. Okay.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then if you are okay, we can have another session in some time where we will pick one business problem which you have solved, and I mean, just I mean, take us through a complete journey of someone reaching out to you to having a successful end. Probably that
Sure. Yeah.
one use case we'll keep it at the some separate use case so that our users have a sufficient time to come back and go through the use case very focused. Is that fair?
Sure. Yeah. 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 Absolutely. I think there are, if I look at the challenge, okay, there's a challenge that I think came from three aspects. One aspect, first aspect actually is the data. As we just mentioned, the data variation is huge in this industry. Everyone have their way of building data. And as an AI company, for sure, the data accumulation and how we get variations can be challenging. We are an early adopter of the technology. So in certain technology, like process flow diagram, that we have a lot of data. That's why we are taking a much lead in there. But now we get into much data, large data set. For a client, we can run almost 1.5 million pages of document right now.
Wow. Hmm.
So that data is increasing, but still, you're looking at the amount of data in the industry, we're like very small, right? So how we continue to grow data and how we even as a community together to structuring data, I think that's still a longer journey. That's one thing. The second thing I would call it still
So,
I think is
so the first
yeah, go
challenge
ahead.
I would say having a right data governance model in EPC companies, awareness about data
Extremely
is
important.
one. Okay, great. Please continue.
Absolutely, 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 absolutely. Regardless how clients' data comes in, you should be able to have a data model to manage and unify the data internally, right? Ideally with some industry standard, so you can later on to at least to reduce the data migration or mapping process, right? So that's the one thing. The second thing I think honestly is the mindset.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's a great point.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think there are two ends of the mindset we see. One thing is people are extremely excited about technology, and in the same time, they're building very extremely high expectation.
great point. Yeah,
Right,
I
right,
completely agree.
yeah, right. So they think
And
this is magic.
genesis of this podcast thought is on the same thing because I there are two end spectrum, and
Yeah, yeah.
building those communities probably lessen
Mm.
the expectation and more realistic and more benefit. Please go on.
Right, right. Yeah. So this is actually one of things. The ChatGPT, the good thing is about get people into the space. People, everyone can play with it. The negative impact, however, I was with a group of CEO of all the AI companies. One of the trend they found actually is the younger generation trusts too much of AI.
True, true, true.
Right? But if you see the news, what happened with Google, with
Mm.
Gemini, right? When they generate those pictures, was basically totally wrong
Correct.
of what founder of the United States. People need to realize you cannot blindly think AI is a magic, get you 100%, right? I think that's the one end of it. The people needs to understand the human in the loop is actually critical, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we always address our clients. Say, okay, our goal is to improve productivity, is first of all, not to replace people, is to replace non-value added task work, to free people to do more higher value work. Important. The
Correct.
second thing is human needs to be in the loop still, especially in the world of engineers, to check and understand, right, what the result of it comes out, right? So that's very important
Second.
aspect, right? The second thing, obviously, the other end, people have doubt about it, always looking at this thing at the black box, don't trust it, or don't have enough knowledge. This is where we have those talks to say, okay, what the technology, what it can be done, what cannot be done. So I think this is a need to have a level of education in both ends to promote that technology. It does. It's actually, we have demonstrated the value we provide to clients to save them at least 30 to 50% of time and cost. We consistently deliver it with our applications and services. But in other end, when we sell solutions to clients understand AI is not magic, right? It does has the time for the data accumulation, as data accumulation does improve in the longer term. But at the beginning, you're looking at maybe 50% to 60%, but over time they will get you better and also connecting dot. So that's the very important. I think the other aspect, to be honest, the way I'm looking at, especially in the EPC world, is I think people are still very much embedded in the thinking of design flow than data flow.
Great point.
Fundamental mindset change. People still think about what is the design work process. Not so many people think about what is the data work process. That's why we should.
That's a
That's the
fundamental.
fundamental
Yeah,
question.
I agree.
That's the fundamental question, the problem. We see this again with people thinking, I need to do this the way I need to do, not thinking about not thinking about today's world. We need to look at, okay, how design the data is being generated and it goes into different functions at the same data, how data being expanded through the process of engineering design, then how that data flow into procurement, how that data flow into
The
construction,
water
right?
metaphor.
That's exactly right. Everything has to think from a data perspective, from a digital process. I think very few. I think within the EPC, people are not trained to think that way, right?
Fantastic.
People are
So,
very much still thinking about that, right? So that
fantastic.
comes the challenge.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So great conversation. I think
Yeah.
we are, I think this is a very small time. I mean, we went around
Yeah.
30, 20 plus minutes and we don't
Right.
feel like it. So
Yeah,
great.
yeah. You can talk for hours for sure, but
We
yeah.
will have
Thanks.
another
Yeah.
conversation. I think this is great. So let's connect some other time so that we get
Sure.
users
Yeah.
different,
Yeah. Yeah.
phases of record. I mean,
Mhm.
records to listen and propagate this. So
Right.
great. I think I think there are good enough points for our audience to take. We will
Mhm.
come back again and we'll talk more if you are okay.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for inviting me. It's always great to talk with people like you to try to promote